Welcome, everyone, to Dig on America, a socio-political podcast where every week we give you the dig on U.S. history, politics, policy, and sometimes pop culture, and discuss how they affect social issues today. DOA is an independent media supported by listeners, but probably also a deep state propaganda arm funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, Jay-Z, and...
There you go. Who's your and this week?
And well, I don't know if I have an and this week. Omni-Man for sure.
Oh, definitely. You're all Omni-Man's pets, by the way. You're all his pets.
So let me show you here. I'm going to move away from the camera because I want to show people what I bought here. So here we go. Pause for
edit. What he's doing is he's going to go get his shirt because we're having an Omni-Man shirt competition.
So this is
I love how he puts his headphones on before he sits down so he can just start yelling over the top of me. Thanks, Jason.
I didn't know you were talking.
I was vamping while you were gone. He's coming back. So this.
This is Compendum 1. This is a fucking thick fucker. So my box of vape juice unopened, it's approximately the same size. It appears to be about 3.5 inches. Pause.
Get the button.
It's not as veiny as one of Haas's cigars, but the book it's different from the show of Invincible, but it's still a very, very good read. I highly recommend people going out there. I'm in chapter 9 out of, I'm guessing there's probably about 25 chapters of the Invincible comic book
25
of Compendum 1. Yeah. Well, there's like 3 compendiums. So, and they're not cheap. I think this cost me $45. So,
well, I mean, it's like 85 books in one. So that's, if you break it down, at least at least 3 books, 3 books for $45. That's $15 a piece.
No, it's way more than that. It's each chapter is a comic book. So I'm already at 9 comics. So you look at it that way.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah, it's not a terrible deal. I think Compendum 2 is like $90 though. But people are buying them, right? Like they're in demand right now because of the TV show. So I probably could have bought this a year ago and spent like $8 on it. But sometimes it shows
wasn't popping back then.
One popping. I am supercharged pumped though, like my background, to show you guys my Omni-Man shirt.
Did you get it yet?
It's right behind me.
Okay.
But I can show it to you, but I don't know if Haas is watching and I want to see it. I want him to see it live.
Oh, okay. We'll wait then. We'll hold it off for a week. I gotta figure out which one. I picked out a couple, but I didn't pull the trigger on any of them. So I'll have to.
Unless you find the one that I am so confident that I have the best one. Like I just adore this shirt. It is so fantastic. Because it brings in another element. Well, and that's all I'll say.
We'll see it next week.
We'll see it next week. So anyway, okay. So welcome in listeners to Dig on America. Our friend Jenna introduced the show this week. And we'll do so going forward. Her voice is much more suitable than mine is.
She is now part of the Yeti gang, so she's going to re-record it for us.
Yes, I have heard that she's going to re-record it, which will be cool. But, I'm happy with the one that she did. But I think that she can do it 1,000 times better, too, because she's 1,000,000 times better than me, and I would have done it worse than that. So there's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
She's good at what she does.
Have you lost your damn mind?
Wrong one.
Of course.
I forgot it was back.
Yeah, the soundboard is back. All right, so guys, today you got the 2 people that matter. So, no, Big Haas, shouts out to our buddy Big Haas. He is on vacay. So this week it will be me and Mr. Faminier. And I'm sure that we will be choking the shit out of each other by the end of the show. So
I got my girl's got a couple of silver dollars and a bucket of ice for in between rounds.
It'll be like in Alexander Holyfield boxing where the trainer comes over and rubs the ice pack on you and you have to pay like 30 status points to get it.
You mean Evander Holyfield?
Isn't that what I said?
No.
What did I say?
Alexander Holyfield.
I don't think
Who
I said Alex.
Is that?
I don't think I said that. I don't. That is an amalgamation of Alexander Hamilton and Evander Holyfield. So
now
now
that's a musical I would pay to be front row of.
And then Mike Tyson shows up at the end.
He's the villain. He's the final boss.
He's playing Alan Burr. He bites off his ear and then shoots him.
Well, then he releases a bunch of pigeons and gets away.
Yeah. Perhaps not in that order. What's that show he's on? Mike Tyson's.
Oh, Hotboxing with Mike Tyson.
No, he's on a cartoon.
Oh, Mike Tyson Mystery Adventure or something?
Yeah, the Mike Tyson Mysteries. That's what it's called.
Something like that.
Yeah. I'm going to solve this mystery. Okay.
And he's so down to earth and chill and relaxed now. And Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Yeah.
He just says, I think it's just really funny. It's just really funny.
I have watched one episode.
Speaking of Mike Tyson, you know one of the little Pauls is talking shit to Mike, right?
Who?
Logan or Jake, one of them. They're talking shit to Mike, like they're gonna do something to Mike.
Okay. Not the one that works for State Farm. You're talking about the YouTubers?
Yeah, they've been fighting all the boxers that fought.
So he stood toe to toe with Mayweather. I mean, he's twice his size.
But Mayweather wasn't even. He's not a knockout artist anyway. But you could tell he definitely was not putting the foot on the gas at all.
Mayweather. Well, plus Mayweather is older than he is. But Mayweather was. I hated watching Mayweather because of the fact that he was so defensive. But you had to appreciate how defensive he was. It was so boring.
It's like when there's a pitcher's duel in baseball. So if you're like the casual baseball fan, where the fuck are the home runs? Like I want to see some.
That's you know what? That's a very fair analysis. Like I am a baseball fan, so I appreciate watching, say, Kershaw going up against Jacob deGrom or something of that nature.
I'll pretend like I know what that means.
Yes, and but so that's a fair analogy. But he was never it was never Kershaw against deGrom. It was I'll use Hall of Famers names like Roger Clemens, who should be in the Hall of Fame despite the steroids. No steroids.
Barry Bonds is in there?
No, he's not.
Yo, baseball needs to let go of some of the petty, dude. Like
yes.
The steroids kept people watching. All right.
Well, and Piazza is very likely to have used steroids.
Catcher, right?
Yeah, for the Mets, and he is in the Hall of Fame. Baseball, we're not going to talk sports this show, but baseball needs to put Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, and Clemens, and possibly Rafael Palmeiro, who actually I think might be in already if I don't recall. But those four guys for sure, Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, and Clemens, they belong in the fucking Hall of Fame. Yes, they did steroids in all likelihood. The evidence is good.
Insurmountable, some would say.
But the problem is that they say up to 40% of the league was using it too, was using PEDs. So they still were the best of the people using PEDs.
That's right. I mean, that's not really their fault that they used PEDs and didn't get caught. That was the league's job, was it not? To catch them. So that due diligence is left up to the league.
Yeah. Well, okay. Lamar, good call. Pete Rose also should be in the Hall of Fame.
Tons of mice. Evidence equals out of the park. Okay, yeah, I guess that is. When Barry Bonds was dropping 5 homers a game into the bay, maybe that was a sign that it was juiced.
No, there's no doubt that Barry Bonds used steroids, right? It's a 0% chance to me that he didn't. Your hat size does not grow by like 4 inches, from the time you're a rookie to the time that you retire. That said, of the people in that era who used who played baseball, a lot of them used steroids, and Barry Bonds was the best of them. And he is the owner of the single season home run record. So and the all time. Sorry, now that I think I forgot about that. So it's like, and he was really good before he started using steroids with the Giants. He was good with the Pirates. I loved watching Barry Bonds play baseball. At the end, I hated him because everyone knew that he was cheating. And I would have rather had Hank Aaron keep that record personally.
Yeah, he didn't have to break that one if he knew he was cheating.
Yeah, but I mean, I love Sosa too. I'm a Cubs fan. I actually get to go to the Cubs game tomorrow. They're playing the Dodgers in LA. I will be staying one extra night, not going home to see the wife and kids. I will be staying out here in LA to go watch the Cubbies play some baseball against the Dodgers. So that will be fun. But let's get off of sports and get on to what we normally talk about. I was going to mention something else about but I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'll close that thought off. Like you were talking about, like I was talking about DeGrom versus Kershaw. Mm-hmm. If I used Roger Clemens versus like Nolan Ryan, right? And I know they're kind of from different eras.
Right.
Clemens was a rookie when Nolan Ryan was in his twilight of his career. But you get the point for the analogy. Right. That would be a game I would pay huge money to see, that pitcher's duel. The problem is with Mayweather, he was Clemens, but he never pitched against Nolan Ryan. He was always going against like some average or, slightly above average guy. And he didn't fight Pacquiao when he had the chance to. It's the only criticism I have of Mayweather. Pacquiao wanted that fight. Mayweather didn't take that fight. He should have taken that fight.
I heard the money one right.
But so what?
Well,
your legacy is now.
I am boxing for money. I'm not boxing for boxing.
He's
very blatant about that.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if Jeff Bezos loses $40 million. I don't care if Floyd Mayweather does either. Okay. I'm painting with the same brush here.
But that's his prerogative. Like
it is, but it tarnishes his legacy a little bit. Not a lot. Granted, not a ton.
He did fight him.
He fought him, but Pacquiao was obviously over the hill by then, and still put up a pretty good fight. But that fight wasn't that close. We all knew that Mayweather was going to win before the fight.
Sounds like somebody had a game plan and they stuck to it, and it worked out great for them. Like I can't. Like that's strategy. He did what he did what he set out to do.
Come on, dude. If Tyson Fury was ducking Wilder, which he's not, because he's already fought Wilder.
I heard Joshua was ducking everybody, but they're gonna. I think they're Fury.
Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua is coming up in August, I think.
Well, Joshua did fight Fury, didn't he? Because that's who, or did he lose to? I'm losing track here.
I don't think they actually fought.
Fury has the belt now.
Yeah.
Or he has more than one belt. He has, I think there's 3 belts that matter.
WBO and WBC, I think.
And WBA, yeah. And he's got 2 of them, I believe. Mm-hmm. I wish that I was more into boxing now than I used to be. I used to be a huge boxing fan. My favorite fight ever was De La Hoya Trinidad.
This sounds crazy, but I hate watching the little guys.
Generally speaking, I agree with you.
Because they don't have any power, and it goes the distance because they have engines. They have V8s inside of a Honda Civic, and they can just punch, little rabbit punches all day. And it's like, dude, can someone do something?
The thing that speaks the most to what you just said, the truth of what you just said, was when Roy Jones, who I love, when Roy Jones fought John Ruiz. He just fucking dominated John Ruiz. Like John Ruiz was like it looked like the Flash fighting Shrek. but
poor Shrek. He caught a stray on that.
But the problem is Shrek didn't get hurt, right? Like Mayweather won Roy Jones Jr. won the fight handily. I don't think Ruiz even realized he was in a fight. I think he thought he was chasing a mouse around the kitchen, and the mouse kept jumping up and punching him in the face. But you know what I mean? So yeah, it's like me trying to catch my new dog. When I finally catch that little motherfucker, he's gonna get it. But it takes me a fucking hour to catch him. It's so goddamn fast.
You gotta use subterfuge, man.
Yeah. So welcome to the sports show.
Welcome to the Dig on American Boxing.
The Dig on Sports with Mikey and
Well, I don't know why we can't have like a segment on like a sports history kind of take on something, or like on this day, so and so threw their no hitter, and you know what I'm saying, like this week in history for sports. Because I mean, sports, and I had to explain this to somebody because they're like, "Oh, once I gave up religion, I really didn't care about sports anymore. I just kind of like dropped all that stuff." And I was like, the only reason to watch sports and to care about it is so that you can talk trash to your friends across the country.
We have politics for that now. Politics has supplanted sports. Blake Braden, our Patreon subscriber and soon recipient of a new shirt, says Mayweather taking bouts for money right now may tarnish his legacy in the short term, but in 20 or 30 years, all people will see is 50-0. That correct. Is precisely correct.
And didn't Muhammad Ali do the same thing?
Yes.
Fighting like five. Yes. And George Foreman did the same thing. Yeah, fighting like 6 people in a row without even taking a break.
Yeah, but Foreman was good in his old age. Muhammad Ali was. I had to remember. It took me a second to think. Muhammad Ali had some bad fights late in his career. I think Hearns, if I'm remembering correctly, or Hagler, one of the two, did some damage to him. Obviously, I was like 6 at the time, but Tyson, actually, to circle back to the first person we talked about, he clearly says that Muhammad Ali is best of all time. So I defer to Tyson.
Spinks.
Best
Spinks.
by
Spinks. Best. It was Michael Spinks. That's the one who caught Ali.
Michael Spinks caught Ali. Okay.
Yep. And then Ali and then Tyson just got him with a fucking right cross, I believe.
He beat him,
laid him out
93 seconds into the fight.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So but heavyweights used to be so much better. Like Razor, like even the second tier heavyweights of back in like the 90s, like Razor Ruddock, were still way better than anything that they have today. I truly believe that Razor Ruddock, who by the way is in a bad shape, like that guy's got no money. That's very, very sad. He I think would, I don't know if he beat Joshua, but I think he'd beat Wilder and Fury. So
Fury's good, man. I hate him, but he's good.
He's way better than I thought he was going to be.
Oh, last detour, and I promise we can get back to it. Why doesn't Conor McGregor box the Paul kids?
Oh, I'm sure he will.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's
boxing. He's boxing again. He's boxing someone else soon.
Because he did the whole Mayweather thing. Let him fight the Paul kids.
Well,
he knows so damn much, and he's a lot closer in age.
He actually didn't do terrible against Mayweather. For that being his first ever time boxing, he did okay.
He's a fighter, though. You know.
Yeah, I mean, he would. This is the funny thing. If they got into a bar fight, Conor McGregor would fucking destroy Floyd Mayweather.
Which is why Mayweather is not a professional bar fighter. That is why he chose the profession that he did, because he has a very specific set of skills, and he can.
You ever been mind fucked before?
He can optimize them to make money. Yeah, bar fights is not his thing. Yeah, doesn't like he's not a kickboxer for a reason. Like he ain't built for that.
He's not Frank. Was it Frank Lucas or Frank from Jean-Claude Van Damme played? Is that the guy's name in Bloodsport? Frank something. Frank Stallone. He played Frank Stallone. All right, so fun sports talk there. Let's get into a couple of other topics, and we will talk about the history at the end of the show. We are going to try to. I'm going to try to get someone in here to do some video editing for us, just for those of you who are wondering, to kind of segment our shows. But we'll figure so. Frank Dukes, thank you, CDN.
Frank Stallone is Sylvester Stallone's brother.
Yes, I know that. I knew that, but I wanted to say it anyway because it was funny.
His character name was Tony Jaa.
But we're going to try to get some. So if anybody out there, I'm willing to hire a video editor for a nominal fee. If you do it, let me know. Tim Bristol has already promised to do it, but he's gone ghost on us. We're going to punch you in the face, Tim. We were supposed to have a guest today.
I just talked to him yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, tell him to get on his shit. We were supposed to have well, we invited 2 guests. Frustrated Atheists, if you're listening, grab your mic, jump in.
You got
our friend Hakeem, who goes by Brick City on Twitter and is the host of the Me and My Crazy World podcast, was trying his ass off to join the show today. He tried to join like I think 30 times. I was very impressed by the effort, but was just having too bad of internet. So you're stuck with me and this character over here.
Me and my shadow.
My buddy and me.
You see my distant fellow. I hate to kill you.
All right, first topic. You should love this one. The Catholic Church has been putting forward an effort on behalf of the bishops to make the rules of communion, the canonized rules of communion across the Catholic Church, to read that anyone who supports abortion, not even that they have had one, or not even that they like it, but any politician who promotes pro-choice legislation may no longer take communion. The Pope had come out and said, and I did take some brief notes here because I want to make sure I get this right. The Pope had said, and I quote, well, actually, this was the notes that I took. Biden said a year ago in a response to a South Carolina priest refusing him communion, the commission also, that it was the only time that had happened to him, and that the Holy Father himself gives him communion, him being Biden. But now bishops are trying to usurp control over the Holy Father, who said communion is not the reward of saints, but the bread of sinners, which I totally agree with the Holy Father's statement there. A vote on this is coming in November. Canon law in the Catholic Church, for those who are curious, basically states that communion does not single out a politician specifically. It only singles out people who are in a, quote, state of grave moral sin. Mikey, isn't following law and order? Isn't that, how's that a grave sin? I'm wondering.
Because it doesn't agree with me. So now it's bad.
Yahtzee. Next topic.
Only I can do the oppressing of other people. How dare you liberate them? How dare you take away the social stigmas of something that I've put on people and that I've damaged the lives of countless women? How dare you tell them it's okay to do something that's safe and clean and is a medical procedure? How dare you? I have the control over these people, not you.
I agree. And I think that abortion is a touchy subject, right? Like, I don't think anybody out there likes abortion. I wish I could Thanos snap it away. But you also have to snap away at the same time the reasons why that is a hard choice for people, and the reasons why that choice has to be made from time to time. You have to also snap away women who maybe past childbearing age and got pregnant, just don't feel like having a baby at 46. You have to snap away workplace disenfranchisement for women who, maybe in the middle of a career, and hey, you know what? It's happened before that women who get pregnant have been at a disadvantage when it comes to promotions and pay raises, right? There's a million other things that you have to snap those things away too before you can really have an honest debate about it. And that's the thing that really bothers me about the right wing, is that they don't care about those other things. And it's embarrassing because as a former conservative, I used to think they did. And it's become astonishingly clear that they don't. And when I say they, I'm talking about specifically the lawmakers, but also by, in a tangential fashion, the voters, because they're a voice of the voters. They don't give a fuck. And it's very, very sad. This is not bashing people. If your beliefs are pro-life, fantastic. That's great. I've said this before. I will never, ever vilify someone for being pro-life. Try being pro-life after the baby's born. Just give it a shot.
Well, then it's just like Homeboy, where he wants to kick it down the road, and then, well, that's that parishioner's job. That's that church's job. They're supposed to take care of them, not me. And it just becomes, you can't treat people like cans to be kicked down the road. And that is what they're good at. That's what they're great at. They've been mastering it for the last 2,000 years. And it's, if that's not a moral sin, then if you have any hungry people and any leftover money in your church, then you are committing the moral sin. Not the young lady who made a mistake or changed her mind or is in a bad financial spot and doesn't want to bring a child into a situation where it's going to do nothing but harm the child. Well, that's her call to make. And
Yep.
and you show me which verse says that her uterus doesn't belong to her.
Exactly. You know, the only place where I think, I don't know your thoughts on this. The only place where I think that I shy away from the typical narrative in the pro-choice community is, I think that all too often the would-be father is, people don't give a fuck about his thoughts. Like, you know, and I've been in this position, so anecdotally it's important to me. But even though I was in that position anecdotally, and it was heartbreaking for me to have a girl go and have an abortion. I mean, I said, I'll take the baby, right? Like, I was more than willing to do that. And she didn't do it, but I don't hate her for it. Ultimately, she's the one who had to go through 9 months. She's the one who, you know, she had to go through 9 months of pregnancy. I didn't. You know, she had to go through the pain of childbearing and possibly have to take time off from work and maybe get fired and all that stuff. I didn't.
Gestational diabetes and hemorrhoids and the whole nine.
Well, I had those too.
But unrelated. We'll get to that next.
Possibly. Though I will say this, when my wife, when my most recent, actually both of my wives, when they were pregnant, I got fat. All four of my kids, all four for 4. I got fat. So there is something there, or I'm just, I don't know. To me, it's something there.
It's like, I don't have to really stay in shape. She ain't going nowhere.
And then they go. No, well, the first one I got rid of her, but the second one, she left and she came back. But she's an idiot because she came back.
People make mistakes. What can I say?
Yeah, no. Right, but like, it's the thing with the church though that bugs me is, like, when it comes to homosexuality, which we're going to talk about gay pride in a minute here. That's going to be our dig today, as you see in the title. But when it comes to homosexuality and abortion, those are really the two things that they spend far too much time screaming about those issues from the pulpit, you know, and none of them have anything to do with affecting other people. Now, let me qualify my statement real quick, and then I'll let Mikey jump in. People will say, fairly, I think, but you're affecting the life of the unborn child. That is true. But there's a difference between a life and an independent life. I think that's easy to agree on. You know, an independent life is a different thing from a dependent life. So, you know, I think that's a very, very fair point to make. But perhaps the church should get back to what they're supposed to do, taking care of the community, being an outlet for people who are broken, and trying to do good and be an example. Like I thought that the adults around me when I went to church when I was a kid were doing. But all of that is gone. It's a shell of what it used to be.
I don't know if it's the rose-colored glasses of just being in a good institution, but I mean, I wasn't an atheist my entire life. I went to church for a long time,
Right.
and I thought we were out there doing good. We weren't doing shit. We didn't do anything for anybody else. We just had enough money to hire a better choir director and renovated the church and did this and did that, and we didn't do anything. We never went out and like, hey, instead of doing a sermon today, we're all going to put on our old jeans and we're going to just go around the neighborhood and just clean up. And then just say what's up to everybody that we meet and offer them to come down to the church. We're going to have a cookout after. Like, we never did stuff like that. We never like reached out into the community. We just went to our building, sang our songs, danced around, and then went back to our homes. And then it was the same thing every Sunday. And I don't think that's a rare thing, because we visited other churches all the time. No one had an outreach program. No one did stuff for other people. Maybe do something for like a member of the church, but we didn't go out and help the world. We just sat in our own little echo chamber and just patted each other on the back for how saved we were. And that's it's almost like the MLK Jr. quote where he's talking about like half of the reason for fighting, I'm paraphrasing a lot here because I can't remember the exact thing, but half the reason for the civil rights movement is to lift the oppression of the blacks, but also to free the minds of the whites. Like, it's bad to think that you can just go into a building and have your own social club, but actually think you're helping the world, and then take the lessons that you're getting on there and actually think it applies to real life and it's actually useful. Like, that's bad. Like, it's kind of sad, really, that I don't know that they realize that they're being harmful. Like, I think they think that they're doing the right thing. And that's the tragedy of it all.
So I think what you said, I'm confident that what you said is true about, the church that you went to, and maybe perhaps even the ones that you visited. That was not my experience, to be honest with you. But I do think that there's part of what your last statement was that I'll agree with, and there's part of it that I won't. I am personally aware of some very, very good outreach programs. I can give you 20 examples of that. If you want some, I'll give them to you, or you can just take me at my word. But I also am aware of a shit ton of churches that do precisely what you say. So I think it's obviously depends on the church, right? Like,
yeah.
There's churches like Copeland, this fucking asshole. Like, I'm sure that Copeland's ministries do have, with the amount of money they take in, I'm certain that they do something charitable with that money, but they direct it at causes that are generally in line with them. They don't care about people who aren't in line with them generally.
Right.
Or they do it to try to say, look at me. And the Bible specifically says, he who gets his rewards on earth shall have no reward in heaven. He who has, and I'm paraphrasing a verse here, but
are you changing a jot or a tittle? Careful, Dutch.
Yes, I am changing it. Not a tit or a tittle. I like the translation of tit because I like tits. But nonetheless, I do think that there are. I think it's unfair to characterize all churches as not being that way. Like, there are some. My neighbor's church when I was growing up was Mormon. I have a lot of problems with Church of Latter-day Saints and with Jehovah's Witnesses, for that matter. But they did some magnificent community outreach programs in neighborhoods of color. You know what I mean? Like that. I personally saw them go there, and they invited me to come, so I was like, yeah, I'll go with, to like paint houses for people. You know what I mean? So like these things do happen, but they're becoming more few and far between. I think the statement that you made is becoming more commonplace, and I think that the parishioners generally don't know what the leaders of the church are doing with their money.
They don't care.
And and that's unfair sometimes to some. I want to know where my money is going.
You want to know that, but most of them are just
because they trust
hard.
the church.
It's hard. It's hard to think critically, Dutch. It's hard. It takes a lot of like brain gasoline, and if people typically take the more fuel efficient way of dealing with their problems. So it's like, should I look into the books and see what's actually happening here? Or, well, I mean, I'm just giving my money. I don't know. How can anybody know? Like, it's fine. And that's a good enough. It's fine is a good enough answer for a lot of people. You're typically not that type of person, and neither am I. But there are people like that where it's fine or that'll do is just fine.
Yeah, plausible deniability is.
If I look into it now, I'm responsible for the information that I looked up. So I'll just not look into it.
And I think a lot of times people don't want to look into it because they're afraid of what they'll find underneath the rug, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you open up the sock drawer that you haven't opened up in 3 years. I posted a picture online the other day. Tons of mice will laugh at this. Of a guy who it wasn't my house, but someone in Florida, I think it was, cleaned behind their dresser for the first time in a decade. And there was a family of lizards living there and so many lizard eggs that it makes your skin crawl. And I loved it. Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
So, and tons of mice. I forgot what his reply was, but I was rolling laughing. But like, that's what they don't want to do with I think with the church. And that's the same with government, by the way.
Exactly.
You know, but we're not talking about government at the moment. We're talking about the church, and the church is guilty of this.
You just lined it up.
Like rapists too. Like they don't want to bring this out because it might keep someone from coming to church, right? The greater good is to bury the rape.
Well, that's you just made a perfect.
But let's ban abortion.
Hold on. I'm agreeing with you for once. God damn it! But you've made a good parallel statement, because the same way they say, I hate the government. It's the same way they say, I hate abortion. I hate this. Okay, have you looked into any of this? Well, no, that's now I have to learn stuff. You're making me learn.
No, I don't want to learn. Told me already.
It's so much easier if I could save a lot of brain gasoline if I just don't. If I just don't do any research and I don't care, then I don't have to know. So I'm just gonna
do your own research.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you the links of the stuff that I'm talking about. You look it up.
Do your own. I love that.
You look up the bullshit that I'm making up on the fly.
You know, the first time I saw that response, it actually held weight with me. I was like, all right, that's a fair point. By the 67th time that week that I heard it again, because it was like over the same some issue from a couple, I think probably from the when I flipped in 2015, and I didn't flip in 2015. I flipped parties in 2015. Yeah. I flipped on religion long before that, because not on religion more or less, but on religion, on organized religion. Right. I flipped on organized religion in probably like 2012. I flipped multiple times on it in my life, but but it's church, clean out behind your fucking goddamn dresser. That's all
we're asking.
You cannot sit there and complain about abortion, and that the president, who has come out over and over again and said he is pro-life in his own personal life, but because he wants to not impose his morals on others, like the Constitution says, in general, that he's committing a grave sin while patently ignoring raping of kids by priests on massive scales.
Or is this tit for tat because Trump lost?
This would have happened one way or the other. This was happening before Trump.
With Biden? No,
not with Biden specifically.
I'm saying is the church lashing out at Biden in response to Trump losing.
Oh, it's very possible because in fact, I would say it's likely. I forget the lady's name. It starts with an M. She is the leader. Someone will look her up in the chat. She's the leader of Catholics for Trump. She is one of the major voices in this campaign.
Well, there you go.
You know,
it's tribalism at the end of the day. It's just tribalism.
Yeah. It's, you know, but the conversation about, you know, people who support abortion not being able to take communion is not a new, that is not a new conversation. It's just never had any momentum.
Right.
You know, before, because church is supposed to be a place, ideally. Ron Zappia, Pastor Ron Zappia at used to be called Harvest in Naperville. Now it's called High Point. He's a really good, somewhat progressive pastor. I'm not sure that he's pro-choice. I doubt he's pro-choice, but generally on the spectrum, he's, you know, definitely not on the right.
Right.
He said something around 2010, 2012 that I've never forgotten. And he said, you don't come to church fixed already. You come to church broken in hopes of getting fixed. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go to church to get fixed. There's other ways to get fixed. You can see a counselor. But if it is a way, then that is a good thing. And it seems to me,
I would say that's not a bad thing. I wouldn't say that it's a good thing.
To get fixed is
I'm saying not going to a professional and that trying to use that to solve your issues. It's not a bad thing, but I don't know that it would be a good thing. Would be seeing a therapist, seeing a counselor, somebody who can actually help you, who has a way of helping you, as opposed to like I vape because I stopped smoking cigarettes.
Yeah,
is vaping good for me then?
No, but
it's not bad.
Better. So can we agree on better?
It's not bad. It's you know what I mean? Like it's better than the alternative, but it's also not perfect. It's not great.
I'll agree. Look, we're having a good podcast. I think we can agree that Haas is the problem.
You're not going to throw me under the bus before I have to go into the Thunderdome. No, thank you.
But like so here's my Roy Jones, I'm sorry, Floyd Mayweather defense on that.
too many names. You're gonna be fucking Evander Mayweather coming up soon.
Here's my Roger Nolan Clemens Mayweather
Barry
Sosa Jones
Barry
Jr.
Here's my Barry Sosa Clemens
Mahomes. Here's my comeback. I don't even remember, after too many names, I forgot what I was going to say. But like, I think it's a good thing to talk to someone if you feel that you're having trouble. Sometimes it doesn't matter who that is. It might be that you talk to Big House. It might be I'll talk to my mom. That was good. You know, I think talking to a pastor can be good. A teacher can be good. The best thing may be talking to a professional or a social worker. Sure. I think that I can agree with that. But I think I would put talking to anyone when you're in despair is good. And churches do in general. One thing that churches do have now that didn't have a lot, that I think is a positive thing for you want me to say something good about the church, here it comes, that they didn't have before, is they have a lot of small groups these days that didn't really exist back in the 80s and 90s, at least on the higher. They'd have like the singles club, but let's call a spade a spade. The singles club in church was just to try to keep you from fucking someone. You know, they didn't want you to have sex, so they said, come to the singles club where we can indoctrinate you on how horrible it is to have sex before you're married. That's all they did that for. Nowadays, you still get that, but like, I have really candid conversations in my men's group on Friday mornings when I can make it.
You candid? Well,
yeah,
I would have never guessed that you wouldn't just hold back everything you actually felt.
Oh, there have been times that I've gone apeshit on them. I told Todd Muser, is on the show, Mr. Sandalwood Beard himself, Sandalwood Wintergreen, Beard himself. You know, he will tell you, I didn't go for probably 4 or 5 months because, you know, during Black Lives Matter, because of the just vitriol that I was experienced with them and the lack of wanting to have a conversation. You know, and I had 2 people from my group later come to me and say, and afterwards and apologize and say that they were wrong. So now there's 6 others that didn't, but 2 of them did come back and say, hey, Jason, I was wrong. I'm sorry if I offended you. Right. Like you didn't offend me.
I was trying to steer you out of the ditch, jackass.
Yeah. So, but the Catholic Church is a unique animal, and it's uniquely bad. It is uniquely corrupt.
It's a specialized predator.
Do you know that somebody has to fact check me on this because I could be misquoting this story, but I believe that the Catholic Church received more COVID funds than anyone else. I want to say it was $3 billion. I read this story last week. I didn't read it line by line. I kind of glossed through the story, and I was like, of course they did. Right. So it could be that story is, I'm saying this tongue in cheek, so take this with a grain of salt. But I'm sure there's something.
Is that the PPP loans?
Yes. The I believe they got $3 billion.
$3 billion.
Is that number correct?
The Catholic Church took more than $3 billion in taxpayer-backed pandemic aid. That's from Slate.com.
And I believe that is among or possibly the highest amount of any entity. So
now, can I tax the church?
Well, you can't. They just took our tax money.
That's what I'm fucking. Where's this fucking separation of church and state?
Oh, but don't give Planned Parenthood $50.
Yeah, don't let them. Don't let them buy clean syringes when they're giving. Don't let them afford gloves so they can give fucking pap smears for people in impoverished areas who can't afford to go to the hospital and go see an OBGYN.
Yeah.
Don't give fucking condoms to fucking people because fuck out of here. Question from Irish Swede. Hi, Irish Swede. I wonder if the Catholic Church will deny the Eucharist to Rubio and Cruz because they are adamant death penalty supporters.
Is Cruz Catholic?
I thought he was.
Rubio definitely is.
Yeah. What is Raphael?
What is Cancun Cruz?
What's the?
He's definitely a vacationer. I know that.
Instead of a parishioner, he's a vacationer.
Yeah, I did not know that Ted Cruz was Catholic. I had not heard that. I know Nancy Pelosi's Catholic. I know I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is Catholic.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm pretty sure she is.
I listen to everything she says, but I just get lost.
Because in her eyes,
he's a Southern Baptist.
Okay, that's close. That's about as close as you can get without being a Lutheran.
He's Catholic with fried chicken.
Okay, the new church that we just started going to is a Southern Baptist church, and I will say this: I've been there 3 times. My wife even commented. She said this church is a lot more diverse. I like it here. And I was like, you know what? I do too. I'm sure I will disagree with them on a lot. But so far through 3 services, I've been pleasantly surprised, especially because it's Southern Baptist, because those guys can be real fucking crazy. Like they don't like dancing. They say no alcohol. And I told my wife, because my wife drinks a bottle of wine, like, there's no tomorrow. I'm like, they don't like drinking, right?
It tastes good though.
Yeah. She goes, that's stereotyping. I said, no, it's not. It's literally on their website. It's not a stereotype.
There's an Alan Ellison, Democrat for U.S. Senate, Florida, who is running to replace Rubio.
Is he another corporate Kristen Sinema?
I don't know.
Probably.
I would say we should dig in and see if we can get him on.
Dig on America. I guarantee from that district, he's probably a fucking Sinema mansion and Pelosi and 100% corporate Democrat there. I'd be happily surprised if not, but I am not. I don't think I'm ever going to vote for another non-presidential candidate who takes PAC money.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. And it's one of those things where we're just kind of, there's going to be some people that we really wanted up there, and we'll have to hold our noses. But I dare say we might have to lose a few elections because it's trying to get through the DNC is insane. And I'm not sure how to replace the management and leadership of the DNC, but they should just know, if they're listening to the show today, your days are numbered in that position.
It's the DNCC, but DNCCC, but yes.
Yeah, because the kids in my age group, the 25 to 35, yeah, they're about sick of the shit. So we'll let you lose.
I'll specify real quick. Corporate PAC money. There are some small PACs. Like, we could start a PAC. You know.
Yeah. Who wants to? Maybe that's what we'll just. What if we were the PAC? Huh? What if we started giving out
Wolf Pack?
Oh, I think that was
Pack
already
of Lobos.
Lobo Pack.
Oh, who has Wolf Pack? Someone has Wolf Pack.
Yeah, it's already a thing. That's the Just Us Democrats.
Oh yeah.
Jank beat us to
right. Yeah. I haven't watched them in a while. I was watching them a lot, and then I stopped.
Dude, for him to have all
except
that
for Rashad Ritchie. Rashad Ritchie is awesome.
For them to have all that fucking equipment, and then for me to still listen to them on their crackly ass fucking, like, dude, take one of the mics home.
You know, I think they're back in studio now, but it was nauseating to me to watch them during COVID.
It was awful.
Horrible.
I couldn't do it.
Jenk, get a fucking camera, you asshole.
I know he has an office. I know he has an office. Do the episode in your office. Stop standing out in the backyard with your arm getting all shaky and tired. Like, stop it. Get over yourself. Everyone else has figured out how to do fucking content remotely. And here I am watching this nonsense.
Unfortunately, Jenna is going to boycott the show now because she says she disapproves both of our answers. Well, you ain't on the show.
No. This is what she was upset about.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then this was answer 1.
Okay.
And this was answer 2.
I think
and then she disapprove.
Okay, yes. I see. For those on the audio, sorry. But okay, so it was a Big Hoss related comment. All right, so let's get into our topic for the day. I did this one today a little bit differently because I didn't want to have to share my screen because I've been having some issues with my monitor. So I did it kind of old schooly here. So let me pull up what I got. All right, there we go. And all right, so today we will be talking about the Take It Back, or the dig today will be on the Stonewall. We're going to call it the Stonewall Uprising, not the Stonewall riots, although there was rioting. We'll find out by whom. When I was in 8th grade, my teacher, Mr. Humble, taught me things that turns out wasn't always the whole truth. So what I did is I started doing my own research.
Do your own research. I'm not looking it up for you.
Yes, I'm not looking that up for me.
That's the problem with you kids. You're lazy.
So I'm going to read now. Some of this did come. I will qualify this. I did a lot of looking for good sources on this last night, and believe it or not, but really the best continuity of this and the best way to go about this, I thought came about. So a good chunk of this is directly from Wikipedia. So I'm just giving credit where it is due. Don't give me your shit about Wikipedia is fake. I was an admin at Wikipedia for 8 years. You post one thing on there on a main page that's not true, you're going to have 45 admins fucking blocking you. So I did use some other sources as well, but especially this first part is directly from Wikipedia. So if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. So the Stonewall riots, also referred to as the Stonewall Uprising or Stonewall Rebellion, were a series of spontaneous demonstrations by members of the gay community in response to a police raid that began in the early morning hours of June 28th, 1969 in Greenwich Village, which is in New York City. Patrons of the Stonewall, other village lesbian and gay bars, and the neighborhood street people fought back when the police became violent. So what we're going to do is we're going to step back from that and talk a little bit about what led to the riots and then a little bit of what happened afterwards. All right. So first, let's start with this. Gay pride. Gay pride, or LGBT pride, or sometimes just pride, is the promotion of the self-affirmation, dignity, equality, and increased visibility of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people as a social group. Pride, as opposed to shame and social stigma.
Pause.
Yes.
You guys said you talked to somebody who said you guys shouldn't put the Q in. Why? What was the reason for that again?
That was well, first of all, I read this directly, as I said I was going to do, from the Wikipedia page, and they don't have it there. But I believe she said that she found it to be offensive, and that was Tucky Williams, who is a lesbian actress who was on this show.
Because I have so many friends who identify as queer, and that are non-binary queer, and it's like, I don't know that she gets to say that queer is offensive. Like, queer is what they have deemed to be their name. So I don't know that I'm, I don't feel like I'm white knighting by, what I'm saying, by dropping the Q, because.
Well, I did say that for a while, but
some part of the equation says no, you can't do that. It's like,
well, if you recall, though, oh shit, what was her name? The incongruent young lady who was on the show, Amber kind of redirected me on that, so I don't really hold that particular thought anymore. So though, if someone feels that way, it's great. But so jumping back, pride, again, as opposed to shame and social stigma, is a predominant outlook that bolsters most LGBTQ rights movements. Ranging from solemn to carnivalesque, pride events are typically held during LGBTQ Pride Month or some other period that commemorates a turning point in a country's gay history. For example, the Moscow Pride parades in May for the anniversary of Russia's 1993 decriminalization of homosexuality. 1993 decriminalization. Yeah, and of course, Trump decriminalized it across the world by himself with Jared Kushner. Common symbols of pride are the rainbow or pride flag, the lowercase Greek letter lambda, the pink triangle, or the black triangle. These latter two, this is interesting, were reclaimed from use. The pink triangle and the black triangle were reclaimed from use as badges of shame in Nazi concentration camps.
Oh, didn't know that.
So moving to the Stonewall riots, which again were also referred to as the Stonewall Uprising or the Stonewall Rebellion, were demonstrations by members of the gay community in response to the police raid that I mentioned in the early morning hours of June 1969. This took place at a place called the Stonewall Inn in New York City. Patrons of Stonewall, other village lesbian and gay bars, and neighborhood street people fought back when the police became violent. The riots and protests are widely considered to constitute one of the most important events leading to the gay liberation movement, and in the 20th century, the fight for LGBT rights in the United States. Gay Americans in the 1950s and 60s faced an anti-gay legal system. Early homosexual groups in the United States sought to prove that gay people could be assimilated into society and that they favored non-confrontational education for homosexuals and heterosexuals alike. The last years of the 1960s, however, were very contentious, as many social and political movements were active, including the civil rights movement, the counterculture movement of the 1960s, and the anti-Vietnam War movement. These influences, along with the progressive environment of Greenwich Village, started as catalysts for the Stonewall riots, or Stonewall Uprisings, however you want to call it. Very few establishments welcomed gay people in the 1950s and 60s. Those establishments that did were often bars run by organized crime groups due to the illegal nature of gay bars at the time. And bar owners and managers were rarely gay. So in other words, they were just making some money off the gay people. Well, at the time, the Stonewall in itself was owned by the mafia. When police raids on gay bars, while police raids on gay bars were routine in the 1960s, officers quickly lost control of the situation at Stonewall on June 28th. Tensions between the NYPD and gay residents erupted into protests. Within weeks, village residents quickly organized into activist groups to concentrate efforts on establishing places for gay men and lesbians to be open about their sexual orientation without fear of being arrested. After the Stonewall Uprising, gay men and lesbians in New York City faced gender, class, and generational obstacles to becoming a cohesive community. Within 6 months, 2 gay activist organizations were formed in New York, concentrating on confrontational tactics, and 3 newspapers were established to promote gay rights. Christopher Street Liberation Day on June 28th, 1970, marked the first anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising with the march, which was the first gay pride march in New York history and covered 51 blocks all the way to Central Park. On Saturday, June 27th of 1970, the Chicago Gay Liberation organized a march from Washington Square Park to Water Tower Place. And many of the participants marched after that to go to the Civic Center, which is now the Daley Plaza. The date was chosen because the Stonewall events began on the last Saturday of June, and because organizers wanted to reach the maximum number of Michigan Avenue shoppers. So they wanted to disrupt the shoppers. Right. Subsequent Chicago parades have been held on the last Sunday of June, coinciding with the date of many similar parades elsewhere. Subsequently, activist groups on the West Coast of the United States held a march in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. The next year, pride marches took place in Boston, Dallas, Milwaukee, London, Paris, West Berlin, and in Stockholm. By 1972, this also increased to include Atlanta, Brighton, Buffalo, Detroit, Washington, D.C., Miami, and Philadelphia. Now, here's where things go a little bit backwards. In the 1980s, there was a major cultural shift in the Stonewall commemorations. The previously loosely organized grassroots marches and parades were taken over by more organized and less radical elements of the gay community. The marches began dropping liberation and freedom from their names under pressure from conservative members of the gay community and replaced these terms with the philosophy of gay pride. From both outside and inside the LGBT community, there is criticism and protest against pride events. One example of that outlines this, if you want to look up a source on it, is Bob Christie's documentary Behind Gay, The Politics of Pride. This evaluates gay pride events in different countries within the context of local opposition. So it doesn't necessarily go against it, but it takes the perspective of the people who are against it. Now a great one. Mikey's going to love this one. Straight pride. So the straight pride movement started, straight pride and heterosexual pride started as analogies and slogans that contrast heterosexuality with homosexuality by copying the phrase gay pride. Originating from the culture wars in the United States, straight pride is a form of conservative backlash, as there is no straight or heterosexual civil rights movements.
I wonder why.
While criticism from inside and outside the LGBTQ community does abound everywhere, the straight pride incidents have gained much media attention, especially when they involve government, and public institutions. Gay is good. Anti-LGBTQ this discourse historically equated both male and female homosexuality with mental illness. Inspired by Stokely Carmichael's Black is Beautiful, gay civil rights pioneer and participant in the annual reminders, Frank Kameny originated the slogan "Gay is Good" in 1968. This was an effort to counter the social stigma and personal feelings of guilt and shame, and sort of piggybacking off of the more successful Black is Beautiful program. 3 presidents of the United States have officially declared a Pride Month. Now, this I did not know at all until I looked at this, that only 3 presidents have declared Pride Month. First, President Bill Clinton declared June Gay and Lesbian Pride Month in 1999 and again in 2000. Then he was gone, and Gore lost the election. Lost. It was stolen from me.
Hanging Chad.
Hanging Chads. We know about the Chads. We all know about him. Everybody knows.
Speaking of straight pride.
Yes.
A bunch of hanging Chads. Never mind.
I'll
see myself out.
Yeah. And so he did this in 99, 2000. Clinton did. That was before he started sponsoring the show as part of the Clinton Foundation. So, yeah.
That's the lizard people, though.
Yes, those two. Then from 2009 to 2016, every year he was in office, Barack Obama declared June Pride Month. Later, Joe Biden declared June LGBTQ plus Pride Month in 2021. Credit where it's due. Donald Trump became the first Republican president to acknowledge LGBT Pride Month in 2019, but he did so through tweeting rather than any official proclamations. And lastly, at many colleges, which are not in session during June, Pride Month is instead celebrated during April, which is dubbed Gaypril, which I think sounds very offensive. Pride Month is not recognized internationally, as Pride celebrations take place in many other places at different times, including the months of February, August, and September. Wake me up when September. All right, so there is your dig on kind of the Stonewall uprisings and the origins of gay pride. It is Gay Pride Month, so we're totally commercializing this, I suppose. But your thoughts, Mr. Faminier?
Good night, Canadian Ollie, man. He's going to bed on us. Let me start here. I'll start with the riots. So what's the name of it again? It's
Stonewall. Just like my chest. It's like a stone wall made of just not stone.
I got nothing. I'm firing blanks today. I'm all out of Red Bull. I'm running at like 2,000 RPMs. That they were saying, because I watched a couple pieces on it just for a little prep. That place got raided all the time.
Yeah,
and then they would just kind of like, all right, everybody out of here, all right, and it was kind of just to keep up appearances so that yes, the police know about this place, yes, they break it up, but not break it up. They're not arresting people. They're not like
break it up.
Yeah, like I came in here to kick everybody out and you guys all left. Okay. Like kind of like one of those, like it's been, it had been addressed and the mob was paying those cops for that protection. So I don't know if there was a new sheriff in town or what, but instead of it being the normal, okay, everybody, it's time to go home. They just went in there busting heads. And that's when the party turned 100%.
Yeah. So I'll piggyback on that a little bit. Lamar, I think you're still watching the show. Lamar's an old friend of mine from the 90s. I've seen this happen. And what I think the issue was in Stonewall was they were fine with the LGBT community being there. What they weren't a fan of, though, is when things started to get, as the article stated, a little bit too carnivalesque, right? The guys in the boas and stuff like that. So I'll give you an example. Lamar and I used to go to a bar called Playoffs, which is in Glendale Heights. And Yeah. I'm trying to remember when this was. It was probably like late 90s to right around 2007 or so. We used to go there all the time on Friday and Saturday night. Like we had no life. We would go there, then we'd go to Galloway's. And Galloway's, for those of you in Chicago, know Galloway's is the one open till 6 a.m. when you're really ready to fucking party. But Playoffs was really, it's in Glendale Heights, so there is a black community there, but it's not a black town, right? It's probably 65-75% white, the rest Hispanic and black. So it's kind of diverse. But what would happen?
I used to live in Carroll Stream in Addison, so I was right.
Okay, so you know the bar on North Avenue. They changed it to Shooters for a while, but now it's back to Playoffs.
I was a child back then, so no, I did not know where the bars were, but I'm familiar with the area for sure.
Okay, so and Lamar's correcting me saying it's Carroll Stream, but it's on the border, you fuck. All right, it's like literally across the street from Glendale Heights. But the so here's what would happen in Playoffs. The bar would be mostly white people until about 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, the brothers and sisters started showing up around the late 90s and did so for about 10 years. And generally, it would be about 60-40 black to white, right? More blacks than whites. Because our friend Adam was the DJ, right? And shouts out to DJ Adam Torres, Navy veteran. But he played a lot of hip hop music. So the guys from the city they started figuring out that
got to ride out, man.
That there was some tail out there for them to chase, and it was a fun place, right? We went there. We had a great time. There were fights here and there, as you'll have at a bar. Granted, I got in a couple of them myself. Right,
alcohol and testosterone will do that to you.
Yes, and it was usually over somebody dancing with somebody's girlfriend.
Yep.
But what you saw very frequently, even on nights where it wasn't fighting, is there being a night from, especially as it started to get to the tail end. You would have the police show up around 12:31 after they made their money, and all the white people, at least the white people who were there as a group of white people, not the ones who are like me, the friends of, who came with mostly black crowd, they would have gone home by then, or they gone on to other bars, and magically the police would show up.
Just checking liquor licenses, make sure they're up to date.
Just checking things out, walking through, and then they'd say, sometimes they'd be like, things got a little bit loud. All right, they play Hip Hop Hooray, and everybody's going like this. All right, it's getting a little bit too dark in here. Time to go, and they would make us leave. And it infuriated me to know. There were times that I literally, and remember at the time I was a conservative, I would yell at these fucking police officers. Like, you guys are fucking racist assholes. Like, nobody's doing shit. They're like, oh, there was a fight here. There's been fights here. So it's a fucking bar. Show me a goddamn bar that doesn't have a fucking fight. Yeah, well, we've heard there's guns here and stuff like that. Oh, really? And there's no guns at the fucking country bar down the street? Check the trunks.
We never looked because they weren't singing Hip Hop Hooray.
Yeah, they were singing
honky tonk badonka donk.
Yeah, they were singing Florida Georgia Line, who actually I kind of like. But the point is,
I knew it.
That's probably the only country group that I kind of like is Florida Georgia Line.
I'll go as far as Rascal Flatts, and you won't push me an inch further.
I couldn't even name you a song.
Life is a Highway.
Oh, I can name you a song now. I couldn't a minute ago though. But and Lamar is talking about what I said here. So
yes, Bombs Over Baghdad will definitely kick it off. That beat is so crazy. There's so much Atlanta energy focused into that 4 minutes. It will set any group of people into an absolute frenzy.
Okay, that and the recently deceased DMX. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Oh my god, poor bouncers.
Yeah. So and see, like the funny thing is like they would hire former cops as bouncers even the bouncers were black guys, right? So they're not turning anybody away, for the most part. And the guys that owned it, Dennis and Khans were their names. They were Middle Eastern guys. I know for a fact that they weren't huge fans of black people. They loved the black people that they loved, like our friends Tommy and Jed, and rest in peace, brother Jed. Sorry that I just, sometimes it strikes me that one of my best friends is no longer here, but the Tommy, Jed, and Lamar, and and Ray, who's also passed away, and all these guys used to go with us. They love these guys, right? Like we'd go there, they'd hug them, they'd come in on the days during the daytime and stuff like that, and just hang out, that sort of stuff, shoot pool. But it was the ones they didn't know that were the problem. Now, why do I bring all this up? Because it echoes to what probably was happening at Stonewall. Am I promising you that's exactly it? No, because I wasn't there. But it sounds so familiar. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that old tried and true. And I mean, like, imagine the exact same thing you were just saying, plus the mafia element, where there's organized crime that's funding the whole thing. Like, so throw that on top of it.
Yeah. Though there's no evidence to say that Dennis and Khans were not in the mafia. We don't know that, but
no, that is true. They could have been.
They could have been. But that is, I had no idea that the mafia owned that bar. And I've watched documentaries on Stonewall, and I didn't glean that from it, or they didn't talk about it. It was an astonishing fact.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, it makes sense because the mafia had to saw that as a way to make money, because no one else was allowing people of that ilk to organize and fraternize and get their freak on and do all that shit. Like, no one was letting them be themselves in their establishment. So they said, you know what? Come down here. And then they would just charge you more for drinks. So what do they care if the guy's got a fucking feather boa on? What do I fucking care? He just paid fucking $20 for a Manhattan.
Irish Sweet says it isn't the mafia in Chicago. It's the Chicago outfit. Get your organized crime names right. Funny thing about that.
About New York, actually, Irish Sweet.
New York, you asshole. Get your economics. I thought you were a smart guy.
I'm like a very smart person.
Well, he's talking about Carol Stream, but that's not Chicago either. But that the mafia, the Chicago organized crime unit, literally is on the payroll of a lot of companies headquartered in Chicago. Ryder, Boeing, Motorola, all have literally pay them to this day. But nonetheless, don't come for me. I'm not anti-mafia. I'm just anti-killing people.
I said none of this.
Yes. The black guy did it.
No,
you're fucked now.
Run the tape back.
Nope.
Do your own. Hey, mob, do your own research. Don't just listen to the tweet.
You're closer though.
No, I'm in Canada right now, live streaming.
You're in Wakanda.
Yes, as you can see, this is my backyard. Never mind the waterfall; it's frozen this time of year.
But so I want to talk about this real quick, if you could. The identity politics behind this movement, and I'm really torn on identity politics. I used to be very, very anti-identity politics, and part of me still is. But there's one thing that identity politics is. I realize we need them from time to time, but they always create these counter identity politics movements: Blue Lives Matter, straight pride, white pride, whatever the case may be. Yankees fans, what was it? Their slogan that they used to have, it gets taken off by the Red Sox fans, right? Like they come up with a counter one. Right. It doesn't matter what kind of identity politics it is. They always breed counter identity politics as a way to combat them, which generally causes more tribalism, causes more division, and doesn't get the message across. So what I'm interested in this case, I might be about to ask you what you're about to say. So explain to me your thoughts on why they are useful.
Why
in light of that, and does the usefulness of identity politics, which I admit is there. I'm not saying that they're not useful. But does the usefulness outweigh the tendency for the counter identity politics and the division that comes with that?
Well, that is taking on a large assumption, a Grand Canyon sized assumption that these are honest interlocutors that we're dealing with, because they're not. Like, they're not doing it because they think oppositely. They're setting up a false dichotomy and saying, see, I told you I was right. And they know that that's dishonest. And they know that that's not what people, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I say, if I say anything like vaping is not as dangerous as cigarettes, they're like, well, cigarettes aren't that dangerous either if you just don't inhale them. It's like, okay, but that's not how people smoke. Like, you know that already. But they're not going into the interaction with any kind of any sort of, they're not looking to agree. They're not looking to disagree. And you're muted, big guy. They're just there.
I wasn't laughing at you. You probably didn't hear me laughing because I was on mute. But I thought you heard me laughing. I'm laughing at Wayne's comment. I'm all for identity politics. I identify Dutch as an arse. Welcome to the club, and fuck you, Wayne.
Well, no one understands Middle Earth or whatever that language is that you speak. But so for people that like
Hobbitian
from Bag End, like the straight pride parade. Why do you need a straight pride parade? To celebrate your triumphs over the oppression of all the gays that made you not straight? Like, it's a false dichotomy. They don't have a leg to stand on, which is why, like, especially with all lives matter people, I can't take them seriously. Like, you can't present a good argument to me for your position because your position is so nonsensical. Like, it's not even wrong. Like, I can't even tell you your position is wrong because it's not even, it's so past wrong. It doesn't even qualify. So
let me give you an analogy.
I'd like one analogy, please.
I've used this before in a different context. Autism awareness, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the one I've used before, I'm not going to use this time, but I want to at least touch on it, is, if I say autism awareness, which I do a lot because, my son is autistic. Mm-hmm. I've never heard Mikey say, what about the cancer survivors? Right. But also, but if they did, there's a tiny bit of thought to it that maybe you could possibly take it in an honest way. If someone genuinely said that to you, because they might say, well, this problem is a bigger problem. Okay. There's plausible possibility that someone can make a good faith argument about something like that. Right. It would be wrong and stupid, but good faith, I think. But here's what white pride, straight pride, these things do. I say autism awareness. They go, or cancer awareness. Healthy awareness.
Yeah.
And what about healthy awareness? Well, we're gonna have a fundraiser, Mikey.
Yes.
For juvenile diabetes.
Okay.
And Mikey responds to me and says,
"What about breast cancer?"
No, Mikey responds to me and says, what about just healthy people? We should have a fundraiser for healthy people.
How about the people who aren't sick at all?
Yeah. What about them? Yeah.
The people with no ailments at all.
Yeah. Where's their fundraiser?
They should get money too.
How stupid does that sound?
That's why I can't even do the fucking rigmarole of trying to, like, I'll let people talk, listen to where they fucked up, and then use that against them. Like, I don't even have the energy anymore to do that with people. I just can't, because it's like, you don't even care that you're wrong. And you don't even know how to describe your position in an intelligent fashion. Like, I can't.
Of course.
I just have to let them be wrong and just leave it be. And then whenever I hear this shit, and then someone who is an ally or someone, and they start repeating that, I'll have the conversation. I'm like, so what do you actually mean when you say all lives matter? What is it that you're actually trying to say?
I believe all lives matter.
Sure.
I do. But you can't say all lives matter when you have clear evidence that Black lives generally don't. And I'll widen that a little bit. Latino lives, gay lives. And I'll try to explain to them. They'll get a good faith shot from me. You know, if they're Christian, I'll say, if Jesus were standing here and he said, "Blessed are the poor," would you say, no, Jesus, blessed are all people?
The rich are blessed too.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think that if someone said that in the Bible, they would be a commonly cited example of hypocrisy. If that were something that was in the Bible, right? But some people just don't understand. And I think there's some people have what we talked about before with plausible deniability. I'll give those people a good faith shot. And I'll say, look, if you see a Black person killed by police, and your first thought is, well, they probably didn't deserve to die, but they must have done something.
Oh no, they're not going to be that generous. They'll say, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes," or some bullshit like that, where they just totally discount the humanity of the person who was just gunned down by a fucking state agent. Like, they just take all of that. They just take all that and throw it away because here's a bumper sticker saying that I can just repeat ad nauseum. And they're saving that brain gasoline, dude. It's all conservation of brain gasoline.
You know what? I forgot something that's totally unrelated, but a guy suggested to me yesterday that when we talk about our topics, that we put the actual topic in the bar. I promise from now on we'll do that. In the beginning of the show, we should have put Catholic Church and Joe Biden. Now we should have put the dig on Stonewall Uprising. We'll do that going forward. I thought it was a good suggestion. Yeah, we'll put the actual topic in there from now on.
Oh, okay.
So that's Mikey's job. I'm delegating that task to Mikey.
And I will remember to do it once we have already gone live.
Yes.
And start the segment that is.
Yeah, but you don't have to do it right away. Like, sometimes we didn't know we were going to talk about Roy Jones, Mayweather, Clemens, right? So, you don't have to do it for that, or you could type it in afterwards. So my apologies to the guy maybe watching who I promised I would.
I would have did it, but
Good
he
advice.
never told. I would have did it, but he never told me.
I didn't think about it till I just looked down. It's too late now, but we'll put it up for the third and final topic. But so close us off here. Tell us what the strengths of identity politics movements are.
I'm not going to sit here and say that all white people are racist and all white people are bad. I would say that a lot of white people have all of the best intentions in dealing with people of other races. But the fucking school system that we grow up in is so bullshit. It is so, but it's not that they're evil or intentionally bad. It's literally a lack of knowledge. And critical race theory, which is only taught at the collegiate level, which they love to leave out. It's not something that's going through the fucking grade schools. If that provides avenues for learning and understanding and comprehension about historical events that people may or may not have heard of before, I don't know how that's a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if you really want to just use the history books in schools to kind of indoctrinate people into thinking that America is this land of milk and honey that it isn't, and that its past is sterling. And yeah, we won't talk about what happened in America in the 1900s, but we're going to spend 7 chapters on World War II and how we killed the Nazis. Well, some of the Nazis, we kept most of them, but you know what I mean? Like the whole, like if it awakens the minds of 1,000 students, then it's worth it as a program. Because it's not until you get those young people with some
Don't go down the rabbit hole, though. That's not next week's topic.
But it's not until you get a well-informed young people base that you get more informed electorates and better representation in Washington. So yeah, the reason that certain people keep winning certain elections is because there's a lot of people who don't know shit about this fucking country. They have no idea.
Remember when we were doing the history of the Republican Party or of conservatism, and we talked about the know-nothings?
Yeah. Was I here for that?
I think they're back.
Yeah.
And that's a really good segue. And by the way, I'll unsegue my good segue because next week's show is on CRT. We'll probably talk about the whole show. But and I will destroy it. But no, I won't. But whatever you just said was a good segue to the final topic of the day. So Mikey will type in right now the Arizona audit.
So not the ticket.
Yeah. So we're going to talk for a second about the audit in Arizona. But actually, we'll come back to what the other thing. But the Arizona audit, we'll talk about that. And then before we leave the show, me and Mikey will both make a final statement on Gay Pride Month and just like how we should honor it, if that's okay with Mikey. So
sure.
The Arizona audit. This fucking thing. This fucking thing is driving me through the fucking wall.
Why?
You have multiple, and I mean multiple. I have seen 40 interviews with massively right-wing people who are themselves saying that this is a fucking sham. They're sitting there with their blue lights because of Blue Lives Matter. Of course, they chose blue lights. They're sitting there with their blue lights and they're spinning tables. And for some reason, which is astonishing to me, they're all wearing face shields, which I kind of give them credit for, because that crowd doesn't strike me as a mask crowd. But they're sitting there and they're losing, this cyber ninjas thing. They're sitting there and there's like one black person in the room, and it's probably one of the Hodge twins. I can't their hand. People are like so gung-ho about this because they say it's the first ever forensic. Oh no, I'm sorry. Earl, are you here? Earl Tucker. Earl Tucker here. Earl Tucker here.
I thought it was Emmett.
Emmett Tucker here. It's Emmett Earl.
It's just like Luann. Like
I'll tell you a story. I was born Emmett, but somebody kept calling me Earl, so I got it on my license plates. Because I could put Earl 6969 on the back, 420. And I could, or Earl loves guns. And it's shorter than Emmett, and then that damned Emmett Smith, he broke all those records, and I'm not a fan because it's Emmett Smith, he didn't deserve it, didn't work hard enough. But so Emmett Earl Tucker here, Confederate trucker. The Arizona audit. Listen. The very first ever in the history of our constitutional republic, first ever forensic. Let me repeat that word: forensic audit of an election. Cyber Ninjas is going to prove that Arizona was stolen from Donald Trump, and we will see after that Wisconsin. Even New York are going to flip for Trump, and that American patriot Mike Lindell has said, we will absolutely see Trump put back into office in August. I'm going to pick August 10th because it's Mama's birthday, and Mama's birthday, Sally Mae, we're all, after I give her my present, which will be some anal sex, then we will, we'll celebrate the re-inauguration of Donald J. Trump, and his beautiful wife Ivanka.
Gross. Go ahead. What's your
I can't take it. Look, newsflash. Okay, hold on a second,
dude.
I'm channeling. No, don't interrupt me. I'm channeling. Okay. I'm in the future. It's found fraud. Oh my God. Trump won Arizona. I just predicted the results. That's why we know what's going to happen. We know
it is the biggest waste of money I have ever seen. Not only is it a waste of money, it's a waste of people's time, which they are never going to get back. And it's for people who fucking preach small government all fucking day, but then to want the government to continue to shell out fucking bullshit election funds.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It's on nothing, dude. You lost. We're not doing 87 audits every time. Because just like I said to the several guests that you invite on here, okay, is there a track record of fraud in elections? Okay, if there's what did the numbers show last election? Oh, I don't have those numbers. How about the election before that? Oh, I don't have those numbers. I'm like, oh, so you don't care about election integrity. You care that your person lost. That's what it looks like. They have no track record of giving a fuck about the integrity of our elections until they lose.
Well, what they'll do, and some of the smarter ones, like remember Bobby Lopez, what we were just talking about before the show, his argument was that don't we care that the same thing happened to Stacey Abrams? And that Stacey Abrams actually won Georgia. And we're like, no, Stacey Abrams didn't win Georgia. She lost. Voter suppression and election fraud are two different things.
Yes.
Voter suppression is bad. Yeah, but election fraud is way different.
Yeah, you never hear them talking about fucking suppressing the vote. Only about the weird little fucking bylaws and all the hurdles and hoops that they make people jump through. Those votes they care.
Don't give them water, for God's sake.
Yeah. There's got people sitting out there in COVID times with a fucking 3,000 degree fucking Arizona heat. And it's so like that's a whole nother group of people that I will not waste my time with. If I lived in Arizona, I would be fucking furious.
I love Arizona. Like I literally want to move to Arizona. I think it's beautiful. I think Phoenix and Tucson are both awesome cities. I would love to live in Arizona. There's a huge transient Chicago community there. They have Rosati's Pizza and Giordano's there, right? Like I think there's Portillo's and Nancy's there too. Steve Stone owns a restaurant there. It's a great, spring training with baseball. I would love to live in Arizona. You're making me not want to go.
It's second Chicago. But like, dude, I would be losing my mind if I'm still hearing in the local news about the fucking 2020 election in June of 21. You got me fucked up.
There's only two ways this will go. Way number one is what I already predicted. And that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to declare Trump the winner. They're going to come up with some huge, thing that is going to be quickly disproven by Snopes and by a million other fact checkers. But of course, those sources are biased, and of course they'll say that. The other thing is, let's say that they come out and they say we were unable to show that the fraud was there. I suppose they could come out and say there was fraud. There was we found 4,000 votes or something, but it wasn't enough to flip the state. I suppose they could spin that, but I don't think they will. I think they'll go with all or nothing. And if they go with nothing, you know what it'll be, Mikey?
Well,
one of two things. Either somebody manipulated the ballots before they had them.
Oh, of course.
Or conservative media will villainize cyber ninjas as being incompetent and say that
we got to get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, we have to have someone else do it. Cyber ninjas failed. They're part of the deep state.
And that's the thing. Like, if it's just going to be a continually moving goalpost and just a bunch of dishonest interlocutors, I know everyone tells.
Why do you call them that? Why do you call that? They're not just. I'm sorry, I don't mean because but I'm gonna interlocutors. I haven't heard that word since college. Isn't that someone who debates?
Yes.
In a philosophy class.
Yes, or just someone who takes a position on something. So they're
I thought it was only for philosophy.
It doesn't have to be philosophy, I don't believe. Chad,
I was going to say none of these people have taken those classes, so
I can guarantee you that. But either way, these people are dishonest agents. They are just full of shit. It is all because their guy lost. It has nothing to do with anyone else or anyone else. They've never cared before, but they only care now. So, no, stop making a mockery of our fucking election system. It's already fucking sad as it is. So, until we start getting some more securing the votes and opening up the fucking ridiculousness of people suppressing votes, like in Georgia or in Atlanta.
No, in Georgia, you're right.
Yeah. What am I saying? Yeah, in Georgia. It's until we get to that.
Georgia is suppressing Atlanta.
Correct.
You were saying until we get to that spot.
Yeah, I'm not really interested. I'm just truly not interested in listening to these people. And I'm telling you right now, because what's the price on that? The price tag's up to like 4 or 5 million, right? More than that?
That's a really good fucking question. I don't know where it's at. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. But I saw an interview the other day with a far right Republican, 2-time Trump voter who went on CNN, who's of course he's lost all his credibility. But I went back and I looked at this guy because I never heard of him before. Like, he's got just the craziest right-wing shit out there. Even he's saying that this is a sham. And it's turned him, he said, from realizing, he said this audit is responsible for turning him and kind of realizing that his party has kind of lost their way and that they're full of shit. And that they've been taken over by a madman, an orange madman, his weenie gay hating son-in-law, and a couple and a guy who makes pillows.
And here's the other thing. They're talking about that this is like people are donating to the fund to like
inconceivable
to crowdfund this. So what planet does it make sense to have I don't know, politically active, vigilant, zealous, crazy people? Why would I let them pay for the audit and hire who they want to do the audit? In what way does that make sense? How is that impartial?
It's paid for by true patriots. True patriots. And by the way, you do not get to self-proclaim yourself a patriot. That's not a thing. You don't get to say, I'm a patriot. I get to tell you if you're patriotic. You don't get to give yourself that title, in my book at least. But you can say I'm trying to be patriotic.
So this is from Forbes. Why we don't really know who is paying for Arizona's bizarre election audit. So why are we
They're the deep state. They're the deep state.
Unreal.
That's the answer. Do your own research. Look up the link. I'm not going to do your work for you. Look up the links.
I made up something. Now try to prove me wrong using the internet. I can't prove what I said.
Ay, caramba.
Former
actually, this one's even better.
Real man of Jesus.
Here's to you. Here's to you, Mr. Self-funded, made-up story audit taker.
Former Overstock.com CEO Patrick Byrne has raised over 1.7 million of a 2.8 million goal through a website created by his nonprofit, The American Project, which did not respond to question from Forbes about how the money is being used. Come on, people.
Look, this movement is being led by the following people. This should tell you something. The movement, not the audit. Trump, a former reality TV star who needed help from a foreign country in the foreign country, how they helped him, for those who think I'm just talking, is by inciting or pushing a voter suppression campaign targeted at people of color. And I saw that targeted at people of color and at women, suburban women. So Trump, Mike Lindell, a couple of senators, Ted Cruz, etc. And here's where the list gets really wild. Candace Owens, Ricky Schroeder, Kevin Sorbo,
not Hercules,
and Scott Baio.
Not Chachi.
That's your team. In fucking joy.
I just want to go.
That's your team of A-listers. There's a few other ones too. Kaya Jones, I think her name is, who was on the Pussycat Dolls for like one video. But it's, Sheriff Clark. What's his face? The General Flynn. But that's your Sidney Powell. That's your A-list. Yeah. In fucking joy. You're wasting time. You're wasting money. And all you're going to do, and this is something I'm quoting from the guy that conservative, he said the only people who are going to be convinced by this are people who are already convinced.
Yeah.
And they'll remain convinced regardless of how the audit comes out. You think that they're going to come out and say, oh, we didn't find it. And they're going to say, oh, well, okay, I guess we were wrong. Move on. You think that's realistic?
I can't. I just don't have the strength anymore. I just don't have it.
It's worse than the people who believe that Trump is Cyrus 2.0 from the Bible. And Cyrus, by the way, is an unwilling vessel that helped Israel. This is the most absurd thing, and it's an embarrassment to this country.
It's
an absolute embarrassment.
I might be able to get us a guest for maybe 2 weeks. This isn't an America thing, but there is I'll just go ahead and say it. Sweden has recalled their prime minister.
Oh, just like Gavin Newsom. How fun.
Now they have, so I think they have like 2 days left of having a prime minister before another election happens.
Okay. Is this because the right wing wants to get a crazy man in there?
Not even making it up. It's Nazis.
Oh, well, of course it is. But at least hey, you know what? At least they have the gall to identify themselves as what they are.
It's the new Nazi party over there. Our friend of the show, Jardin, has now announced that he is leaving Sweden and going right the fuck back.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you.
Well, this show has been a total fucking clusterfuck. Actually, the gay pride part is cool.
Yeah, happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yeah, happy Pride Month. Real quick, I think that Pride Month is a great thing. I think that the gay community has been terribly marginalized for decades in this country and thousands of years as far as socially, with the exception of a few societies where it was really accepted. But of course, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah were burned down for that. Oh yeah, that's right. That's false. It didn't happen in the Bible. But if you're looking for resources on Pride Month, you know, there's a lot of them out there. We named some of the books before. I'll put a couple links in the show notes for sources that you guys can look at for some of the origins of the show today, and or the sources for the show today. You know, if you really find yourself in a position, my closing thought on Pride Month is, if you really find yourself in a position where you feel that it's not necessary, think about the fact that that this group has been marginalized, they have been outcast, they have been really, in a lot of ways, I don't want to equate it to what happened with slavery, but you know, in the post-civil rights era, I think it's been in a lot of ways worse than what's happened with African Americans and Latinos and Asians, because anything race-wise, because there's a unique thing that is unique to well, I said unique twice, but there's a unique factor here with homosexuals, and that is that they're very often, just because of who they want to lay in bed with, are disowned by their entire family. It's not like some asshole at Starbucks, right? Like you don't have to live with that person. You don't have to, you know, some Karen, like this asshole Karen who, you see this Karen who like tried to kidnap the Amazon driver because he was a black guy. You know, I thought he was going to rob my house. Like, dude, what happened to dude was horrible, but he doesn't have to live with that person. And gay people have had, you know, been kicked out of their houses, fired from their jobs, just because of the fact that they want to sleep with someone in private, consensually, accused of being a pedophile, of course, that has nothing to do with you. And it's heartbreaking to me. And that's why you fucking need it.
It's not even the sex part. They're saying you cannot be in love with somebody. Like, who the actual fuck gets to tell someone that? That, like, how? No. Your wife is a redhead. You're not allowed to be in love with redheads. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? So if you feel like you have something confusing about the Pride Parade or Pride Month or anything, this is what Mikey Famin's suggestion is: shut the fuck up and read a book. Mind your own fucking business.
I read the book by Scott Baio.
Yeah. Read a couple of other books, but to back it up a little more, because it's getting to the point now where I'm tired of telling people to mind your own fucking business. You should know that by now. Nobody goes into your church and tells you to do shit. No one goes into your office or to your job and tells you how to fucking do your job. And you would be upset if someone did. Do not tell people who they can be in love with. Just let them be in love. And here's the best part about gay sex. If you're straight, you don't have any. So again, just go back to minding your own business. That's all. Just mind your own business.
But don't they I mean, Tugger here. Don't they indoctrinate our children with thinking gay sex is normal and they're pedophiles?
Yeah, because I listened to Elton John in The Lion King. I am a raging homosexual now. Yeah.
See, I told you.
Saying, yeah. I will never understand how someone else's relationships is my business. It's just not. It's just not. So do your friends and your family members who are part of the LGBTQ community, do them a solid and mind your own business this year. How about that? We'll start a tradition where every year on Pride Month, during Pride Month, you just mind your own fucking business. And if you can't say something nice, then don't say nothing at all.
Freedom. How about that? How about the idea of freedom?
No, the government has to control how people have their relationships.
You know, and it's like we talked about abortion today. We talked about we didn't really talk about abortion, but we talked about, Biden and the church with abortion. And we talked about the about Pride Month. Literally, if the couple on your right decides to have an abortion because the wife is diabetic or sick or something like that, and they already have 4 kids, and they have all these reasons why they make this excruciatingly difficult choice, because it is, okay, to do this. It's a heartbreaking choice for a lot of people, but because they made this choice on your right, the neighbor on your right, and because the neighbor on your left likes to stick his dick in a butthole,
yikes,
okay, or 2 lesbians, whatever, but literally neither of those things affect you in any way, shape, or form, in any tangible way, other than the fact that you might know that they that fact exists. It doesn't affect you in the most minute Ant-Man and the Wasp quantum theory way. But the 50 fucking guns that you have in your basement and the money you're sending to this fucking audit in Arizona, that does affect me. So in the words of Eminem, fuck him and fuck you too. I don't know who the him is. Him is Donald Trump.
No, it's Will Smith.
Yeah, I know it's Will Smith, but Will Smith didn't do anything wrong here, so we'll leave him. We'll leave him out of it.
We'll let you live, Will Smith.
He did rape someone in that one movie. Basically, he took advantage of the guy in the was that movie where he played a gay guy. But all right, Mikey, we didn't fight. Let's talk about something that we'll fight about. Let's talk about lunar landings. No,
I just
unless you got anything. Unless you got anything else,
You are fake news.
I am prepping my whole chakra, my spirit. I'm getting ready for this cruise in a couple months, and I'm just trying to get myself, in that nice.
You're gonna be on the boat all by yourself, you and Gilligan.
Yo, that's cool too. But me and my girl, we're gonna have such a lovely time. I just bought luggage. All my shit was all busted up and terrible, and I got a GoPro because we're gonna be spending a lot of time on the beach, so we can take it in the water and all that shit. I cannot be bothered anymore. I am the definition of unbothered from this day forward, until something else pisses me off.
Yep. So
let's get out of here. Let's go home.
Yeah, do your thingamajig there, senor.
So guys, if you guys want to help us bail Big House out of jail, please go to patreon.com/digonamerica. And that will help us raise the funds. We're independent media, so that would help us raise the funds to pay bail so that we can get him out of here. Get him home. Help us bring House home. Go to Patreon, drop in 10,000, 20,000, all the money that you were going to put into the Arizona audit, just bring it on over to our Patreon so we can start paying for the new merch, which will be popping up very soon. And it looks amazing, and you guys are going to be thoroughly shocked and amazed. And we're it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So please hit us up, follow us on all the social medias. I think at just about everywhere we're Dig on America. Or what's Dig on America podcast? Is that Twitch?
Twitch is DOA, and I believe Patreon also is, but oh no, I'm sorry. Our TeePublic is DOA, but everything else is Dig on America. YouTube,
Twitter.
Well, really, YouTube, Facebook. The website, Twitter, all that stuff. Facebook is all whatever the website is / Dig on America. Oh, look at. I had the comments down for. Look at Jenna posting all of our links. Thank you, Jenna. You're a sweetheart.
You're the best.
The only other thing I wanted to real quick say is next week we will be talking about critical race theory. The week after that we have Matt Dalhauer. the sometimes host of Jock and Nerd coming on, who is awesome. He's
I
a
love
big
him.
time progressive. And we're going to talk about the politics within comic books, which should be a lot of fun. A nice little break. Oh, maybe I should save my Omni-Man shirt for that day.
Yeah, that'll give me some time to get mine shipped.
Okay, I will save it for that day, which sucks but doesn't suck. And then after that, hopefully we're going to try to get Frustrated Atheist on, but
yeah, he's a no call, no show. I'm writing him up for that.
So, and last but not least, if you watched this, was it 2 weeks ago that we promised the shirts, or was it last week?
2 weeks ago, because you weren't here last week.
Yeah, that's right. So for me, it was last week. If you were there 2 weeks ago and you commented on the show on any platform, we're sending you a shirt. So if you have not already, send. Okay, look, we need here's what we need. Send Mikey or me a message. Don't do it on social media. Do it like you can email us at vfupodcast@gmail.com. That hasn't changed. It's not going to change. I can't change that.
It's too many hooks tied into that.
Everything's tied to it. So I can't change
such a pain in the ass.
And no one emails anyway these days. But so you can email us at vfupodcast@gmail.com. Mikey knows who was on the show. I think he took a list down. I already have a list of a few. If you're a Patreon supporter, even at the $2 level,
you get the shirt.
Or if you are if you commented on that show, you're getting a shirt for nothing. I need to know what color it is that you want. You can do red, blue, black, white, or dark or light gray. I need to know the color and the size. I hope they fit because I don't know how they run. But send us that. These shirts are badass. If you want to see them right now, you can see them at digonamerica.com. There's a picture of the front of the shirt. There's a QR code on the back, which is cool. You can help share the show. So send us your color and your size. Like I'm white and kind of husky. That's my color and size. So send that off to Mikey, please, and we will get you your free shit. So I'm sorry for that, but that's it.
Yeah, nothing else for me. See you guys next week. Bye.
Later.